Well, hey there, welcome back. Today we are building a nursery for guppies and a certain species of bladder snail. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll cover the materials that we're using and the species that I'm including and the reasons why. So let's get started. So this is a kit meant for like a kid's first aquarium. I got this at Walmart for around $15 or $20. And the bowl that it comes with is actually very nice. The stickers come off very easily, which is a plus, but it comes with some things that I won't be using today, such as some chlorine neutralizing chemicals. I don't need that. Throw that away. It does come with some fish food that we will set to the side. That's okay. That's good stuff. And it comes with some fake simulated gravel that looks pretty, but it's crap. So we're going to throw that away. And we're going to start with our own materials. I am using a handful of marble chunks. This marble stone will help to control the water parameters in a way that I want them to be controlled. It'll keep the water a little bit hard and not acidic. I'm also going to include a cave in this build. You may recognize this coconut. I used it as a lid on one of the jar aquariums for a good while, but it's getting a second life here as a cave in this aquarium. And that's because I will be adding guppy fry in here, and they will appreciate the occasional place to hide. I'm not going to have a ton of plants in here, so this is very important. But I'm also including some of my wild bladder snails, and they prefer to lay their eggs in dark, hidden places. So this cave will be very important for them as well. I am going to include an air stone in here. For a first time aquarium kit, it kind of sucks that it doesn't come with an air pump or an air stone or even a small filter of some kind. Kind of gives kids the wrong idea. Now, I am going to use a rubber band to control this airline and keep it held in place. You fancy people out there would most likely 3D print some kind of contraption for this, but I'm just going to use a rubber band, and it'll work just fine. Now we are going to add some desert sand in here. And that's because the snails that I want to build, that I want to include in this build, they like to burrow in the substrate. They actually burrow down into the sand or the mud, especially when the water gets cold. It's an interesting adaptation to the local weather here. Now that sand did cloud the water a little bit, so I am doing a quick water change. That's harmless at this point. There's no life in here other than some bacteria that may be on the coconut. But there we go. Now I did not boil the coconut. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It was essentially wet for several months, so it should be fine. Now for plants in this project, I am going to include an above water plant. I'm going to take this little cup right here. I also got this at Walmart for about $5. This is a Brazil philodendron, and not to be confused with a pothos. They're a little bit different, but I'm going to take the pot out, take the soil out of the pot, and I'll separate one of the plants, and we'll use that in today's build. The soil from the store is generally meant for shelf life, not necessarily a long-term success for the plant. And you could see it was getting root bound already, and I just purchased this. So here we go. I've made a little clip and a tube so that we can hang this plant at the rim of the tank with the roots dangling in the water. Now, I'm no expert, but so far I've learned that it seems to be best for those roots to get a little bit of air and for the lower parts to dangle in the water. I think that's a recipe for success, and it seems to be working so far. I'm also going to include this stuff right here. Drop a comment if you know what this is. It's a floating plant. I believe it's the smallest flowering plant on Earth. It's very special to me. And this will function a bit like duckweed. And what I mean by that is that it will block light from getting down into the water. It will block some light, and it will also consume some loose nutrients, competing with algae. And this stuff should grow a lot faster than my duckweed, so I'm hoping for an excellent effect in here. All right, and we're back on day 3. I've allowed the tank to sit for a few days, and now we're going to add some of our snails. The snails I'm using in here are a type of bladder snail, but they came from a local stream. I'll include a link to the video, the collection trip, where we caught these guys. And those snails are all gone, but these are the descendants of those original captured individuals. And they've been breeding in the wild stream aquarium ever since. You may notice that I made a few changes to that tank over time because I had to. But it's still running and they're still breeding in there, completely isolated from my regular bladder snails. That's very important. I don't want to get these two groups mixed up. And there we go. We've added them to the tank very carefully. And so carefully that I hope we will not lose a single snail. You have to be gentle with them. But within just a few seconds, everybody is recovering from the transplant and they are beginning to explore. And of course, they are mating. Even though they were all in the same tank together a few minutes ago, they're in a new world and immediately they start breeding. That's great. That's normal behavior for them. Yeah. So they're going to start breeding right away, and these snails are a little different than my traditional bladder snails. They have some interesting adaptations related to environmental pressure from predators and weather conditions. They will lay their eggs in dark, hidden places, and we most likely won't even see the eggs except in that cave or maybe hidden behind it, things like that. But they also have an interesting way of handling cold weather. They will all cluster up together in a little pile and they'll get down into the substrate. So I definitely had to include that sand to hopefully simulate the mud in their home aquarium, which itself is a simulation of the stream where we found them. So now I am including a piece of honey nut squash. Yes. Did I say that right? Butternut squash. That's what it is. And that will act as a long-term food source for the snails. I've never used that in a tank, so it's a little bit of an experiment. A checkup on our Brazil philodendron, and it looks good. There's my little clip and tube mount. Again, it's only been a few days, but everything looks good. And the snails are making themselves right at home. Now, this is a new tank, and that squash will take a while to break down so that they can eat it. So I'm going to add some fish food flakes in here, and that should allow them a temporary food source until the squash breaks down. So day 7, yes, we're jumping right to day 7, you guys. And I did have to do a water change on the tank. It got a little cloudy. Turns out that squash can be kind of messy if you add too much at first. But a few water changes is pretty normal for my method right now. And next I want to include some mulm from one of the tanks that I built last year. I'll include another build video link in the description to this tank if I can remember what video it was. But there are boogie worms in there, and I'm hoping to start some in this project as well. I'm still learning about them, and no one can really give me a species ID. So I'm just kind of shooting in the dark here, hoping they operate a bit like black worms. And hopefully those worms will grow up, reproduce, and our guppies will eat them. Yes, that's my goal. That is the main purpose of this tank, is to raise a few guppy fry in isolation, females, but keeping them separate from males so that they cannot get pregnant, and we can begin our selective breeding program when they're a little bit older. Now, I don't advise that you keep guppies in a nano tank like this. You may see some people do that on YouTube, but I don't think you should try it at home. My guppies are not like your standard strains that you can get at a pet shop. These guys have been through several extinction events over the last 6 or 7 years that they've been with me. I've raised them in very crowded aquariums. We've had hurricanes, power outages, heat waves, all kinds of things that have kind of acted as environmental pressure. It's culled the weak from the population and left us with those guppies who are more easily able to handle poor conditions. So yeah, basically my guppies have been evolving in a very, very small way. We're going to jump to day 8 here, and I was just about ready to add my special guppies to this tank when I noticed something very interesting. At first, I thought that our boogie worms had successfully, made it into the tank, had gotten established, but the closer I looked, I realized that we weren't looking at boogie worms at all. These things. These are drainfly larvae. Yes, these are my enemy. These are the dreaded enemy of bucket ponds. We have many friends in the microfauna world, and insects and arachnids and crustaceans and all that stuff, but we do have some enemies as well. These little things, right now, they're just sitting down in the substrate and they look harmless, but once that food source runs out, they will begin attacking snails, um, egg sacs, anything they can get. They are ravenous and they will crash the aquarium if I don't stop them. So we're going to go ahead and add our guppies into the mix. Yeah. And I'm going to get my little extra lighting here so that you can see them a little better because they are small and they are the same color as the tank. Adding them in here, it did stir up some material, but that's okay. And there they are. We've started with 2 small female guppies of my special hybrid Endler strain. You may see something that looks like another guppy, but that is a scud. Descended from scuds that I got from phillipsfishworks.com. Great website. Great YouTube channel, by the way. But yes, our guppy fry, they are in here. They are tiny, and I don't want to scare them, so we're going to leave them alone for a day or two. We're going to do a checkup on the plant, though. Our Brazil philodendron looks amazing. It hasn't changed much, but I do see a little bit of growth, and it's not suffering, so that's a good sign. I will have to lower the water level a little bit, though, because those roots are almost entirely submerged. When I did the water change, I added a little bit too much water, so we'll fix that. I'm very excited, you guys, and I hope I didn't confuse you talking about my guppies like that. We're going to skip to day 10. And now we can really take a look at the aquarium. I consider, after about 7 days is when things are really getting started in a project. And I might have jumped the gun a little bit by adding guppies so soon, but I had to. Those drain flies will ravage our fledgling ecosystem. They will cause many problems. And our guppies, even though they're small, they are interested. They are fish. Those things look like worms. They will eat them. They will eat the ones that they can eat with their tiny mouths, and that will help them to grow big and strong and eat even more drain flies until the problem is erased. And that makes me so happy. Even though there are only 2 guppy fry in here, they are schooling. They stay together. They might even be siblings. They might be sisters. They're the same age, same size. It's very possible. My guppy tank is pretty hospitable to guppy fry, but there is still some stress in there. Males trying to breed and all kinds of stuff going on. So I think they'll do very well in this nice and peaceful environment here, where they can relax and they can grow and develop. And eventually we can introduce a male who will impregnate them and will have some babies. Every one of my guppy males, they're all different. And so I'll be choosing a very special, really pretty, cool looking, interesting male for that project. Now the snails I added in here, they are the wild snails and they do some weird stuff just like normal bladder snails. This guy appears to be floating in mid-water, just kind of doing stuff. And that's cool. I don't mind that at all. Bladder snails are actually a lot of fun to watch, and they are oddballs. They're weird, especially these wild guys. And yeah, I think the tank looks really good. Snails are all riding each other, breeding. The guppies are hunting. The drain flies are slowly diminishing. There are a few ostracods in here of my larger aggressive variety. They should not be a problem, but they are too large for my guppies to consume. If those ostracods do end up taking over, they may try to kill the guppies, so I will have to watch out for that. Checking up on the plant again, it's been about 8 days, and it's looking well. Things have gotten a little bit longer, a little bit thicker, and I do see a little root growth right there, so that's great. We got little nubs of roots wanting to hang out the side, and I'm very happy. I'm blown away, you guys. I didn't expect this build to come out so nice. With only an emergent above water plant, the philodendron, and a floating plant, which is water meal, if you didn't guess it by now. But yeah, with only those 2 things, we've created a beautiful aquarium. And I can tell you that both of these plants are very easy to grow. Really, there's not much effort involved. And at this point, as long as I can keep the water parameters pretty stable, our guppy should grow and flourish. There may come a day when you see a tank like this full of interesting guppy fry. And yeah, I've been wanting to start a selective breeding program for a long time, and I also wanted to create a backup population of our wild snails. So putting these things together is a great thing for me. Um, my channel was originally inspired by a man who was attempting to breed the smallest guppies possible. And I don't know how far he ever got with that. I think he abandoned the project after a few years, but that's not how we do things here at Bucket Ponds. Uh, we stay heavy on it for forever. Once I'm on something, I'm on it. That's my life, you know, and that's really always on the back of my mind, you know, and always things I'm thinking about. But I love the tank, you guys. I am supplementing that food source, that squash, with a pinch of fish food flakes here and there. The guppy girls, they do eat the fish food, but they also eat anything else they can find. And soon, as the tank develops and matures more rapidly, I will be adding other little critters for them to chase and to hunt. And my goal is to give them great little lives so that they can give me great little fry in the future. Now, the only thing I need to fix on this tank is the airline, which is kind of hanging out to the side, looking kind of weird. So I dug up an old suction cup with a little clasp on it, and there we go. I have it pinned to the back of the tank. It's not quite invisible, but it works well enough. For a budget aquarium for my version of a kid's first fish tank, you know, I think we did pretty good. That being said, you guys, I want to remind you again that I would not put fish in something this small, not unless they're specifically adapted to a similar situation, like my guppies. Rice fish probably would work really good. People talk about betas a lot, but I don't know anything about them. I'm not going to give you any advice there. Big thank you to my YouTube members and Patreon supporters, and I want to apologize for the slow uploading of my videos. My job's gotten a little crazy, a little stressful, but I'm handling it well. I started with a new company. I got promoted again. So yeah,